When it comes down to picking a layout boat for duck hunting, it's usually boiling down between the MoMarsh Fatboy DP or the Refuge Runner from Four Rivers Boats. I have the two leading layout boats for duck hunting, and today we're going to go through each one of them and show you every aspect and compare both of them and show you guys what exactly you get when you order one of these boats. If you are looking for a video talking about the pros and cons of each of these, that is not this video. That is going to come after this season, after I've put both of these boats through a full season of use. So today, we're just going to go through all of the details about them. I mean, there's a lot to go over. There's a lot of specs and things of that nature. So we're going to go ahead and start with this Four Rivers Refuge Runner and give you guys the lowdown on it. So here is the Four Rivers Refuge Runner with the deck cover, the short door, the dog door. It's the whole shebang here. So I'll leave the specs up here on the screen for you guys to check out. It's a much bigger boat than the MoMarsh Fatboy. So it's a little bit wider, a little bit longer, and a little bit heavier. But with that, you get a lot more boat to deal with and hunt out of. So let's go ahead and start with the blind itself and then take it down and show you guys what the boat looks like underneath all of the cover and camo. This boat, when it comes to just like ease of use when you get it, once you order it, everything comes in. This blows the MoMarsh out of the water right out of the get-go because I didn't have to put anything together. I didn't have to drill any holes. All I had to do was attach these hinges and pretty much just bolt everything on. The deck cover and doors are held on with these little twist locks, and those come already on the boat. All you have to do is just slap the cover on and you're good to go. The cover itself, this is pretty much customizable to whatever you want and what you order from the website. So I've got the deck cover, the short door kit with the dog door. So all these components, you can order them separately. If you don't want the deck cover, you don't have to get it, that kind of thing. It snaps on super quick and easy with these little twist locks. All you have to do is slide it on, twist it, and it's not going anywhere. Another thing I like about the Refuge Runner itself is the stubble straps on it. They're kind of smaller in comparison to the MoMarsh. We'll get into that later, but you have a lot more loops to choose from on the Refuge Runner stubble straps. So on the door itself, you have 1, 2, 3 rows of stubble straps, and you can attach raffia or natural grass or whatever to it. And then on the deck cover here on the side, you have 2 rows of stubble straps. On the front, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows of stubble straps. The dog door itself has got 1, 2, 3 rows of stubble straps. And on the back here, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows of stubble straps. So when it comes to what you need to grass it in, you can grass this whole boat completely. Like, there's really not a whole lot of bare spots on it. I've done kind of an okay job. I think I do need to touch this up a little bit before we get into big duck season, but overall, this boat grasses in and looks fantastic. All the hardware for the doors and the cover and all that, it's really, really, really nice. Something I do like is that the pins for the hinges are attached to the frame, so you don't have to worry about those going anywhere, and you just slide it in, pin it up, and you're good to go. One more thing is that you can actually adjust the doors to stop at some point. So I like mine pretty closed, but you can have them adjusted to where they'll stop. Same thing with the dog door here. Like, you can adjust it to where whatever level you want it, you can have it stop. And the dog door also flips all the way back to give you access. Something that I do want to touch on with this deck cover is that it does have an elastic band that goes around the whole boat. So you just pull it over and the elastic band on there holds that in place. And then on the front of the boat, there's actually a little pocket here. So you just slide that pocket right over the nose of the boat. Inside the boat, what I've got is the bar seat from Four Rivers. It's a ratcheting seat, so you can ratchet it to whatever level you like to lay at. And then if you pull it all the way forward, it'll go back down. A neat feature about this is that it's got an adjustable headrest. So if you want to adjust that, you can. It'll just kind of bend and stay where you want it. It's got a shoulder strap and a handle on the side and a couple of little tie down hooks on the back for whatever you want. So overall, it's a pretty decent seat, so I'd recommend it. I'm gonna give you guys a little once over here. So front to back, back to front, let's take a look at the hull of this boat. It is a fiberglass boat, just like the MoMarsh. When it comes to just the finishing on the boat, you can tell this is a pretty high quality watercraft. They've got this little rubber deal that goes around the inside of the cockpit, covering up all the edges of the fiberglass. So as I was working on the boats, I had plenty of fiberglass getting into my fingers. That's no fun. So that's a nice little touch, just a nice finish on there. It's got a really sturdy gel coat on there. And overall, like the fiberglass itself, it feels really solid, like really solid. That's why this boat does weigh a little bit more than the MoMarsh. It's got thicker fiberglass in it, which for me, I like that because I'm hard on things. I know that concrete boat ramps, rocks, gravel, it's all going to take a toll on the fiberglass in the end. So I want to be able to have the best chances of prolonging life with some thicker fiberglass. So I have ran this boat over some tree stumps and things of that nature. It handles it just fine. And you'll notice if you get into one of these and start running in it, the floor does flex a little bit. Both of these boats do that. That's because fiberglass needs to flex so then it can absorb any kind of hits that it takes. So like if you hit a tree stump, you want the fiberglass to kind of absorb that. So that's completely normal. I really like the shape. Like it's a long, flat profile, which is super easy to hide pretty much anywhere, where you're hiding on a mud flat or in a marsh or anywhere like that. Like this thing can hide pretty much anywhere, which is why I like layout boats. On the back, it comes with the transom. The transom is molded into this boat, so that's a perk. And then it also came with cleats. Like you can see some cleats on the back. I did attach those. I haven't put any on the front yet. I might, but those are going to be pretty handy for staking out, because I found out over the teal season when I was hunting out of these, the boat likes to wiggle around while it's in the water. So having some tie down poles helps tremendously. I do want to show you guys the underside of this boat. It has a really slick finish on the bottom with the gel coat. And it's got these two ridges that come down here. And that is, I guess it helps keep it tracking straight. So that is different than what we'll see on the MoMarsh boat. This has these keels on it. So it kind of slopes back up on the front and the back. And this is a displacement hole, not a planing hole. So when you're running on this thing, it's not going to plane out. It's just going to keep going and cut through the water. But I really do like the finish on the bottom of this boat. It's got a couple of nicks and dings from being used, but it's really not showing a whole lot of wear and tear. On the front, we've got this rope handle. So it goes through the fiberglass. There's knots on the bottom, so you can undo this if you want to, tie a bigger one on, but that's right there for you. And there's a tow hook, which I use to pull with this rope or keep it attached to the trailer. Now, let's take a look at the cockpit. This cockpit has room for days. I noticed that when I hunted out of it, it's just got so much room. The one thing that you lose with this boat is that you can't really shove a whole lot up underneath there. So what you see from the top down is kind of what you get, all the usable space for keeping items. But the thing I like about this boat is that where the keels were on the bottom, there's some channels cut all the way down. And so when you've got water coming in and out of the boat, dog gets in, that water's gonna sit right in those channels. In the back, there is flotation foam, and also in the front. And I think one of the last notable things to mention about the hull is that it's got a drain plug. The kind of drain plug that it uses is, it's actually in my truck right now, but you unscrew it and it'll actually stay in there. I take mine completely out to just kind of help water come out and whatever other debris. And I also keep it in the truck so then I don't forget it, because I'd hate to have this thing unscrewed and just bouncing around and lose it on the road. So I just keep it in the truck. So drain plug is nice. It's really easy. You just lift the front end of the boat up and it all drains out. The cockpit itself, it's so roomy. I honestly, comparing using the MoMarsh to the Four Rivers, I do think I can fit more gear in this boat just because the cockpit size and shape. So that is kind of the overview of the Four Rivers boat. If, like I said, if you guys want to get the real scoop on which one I think is better, wait, and next spring I will be doing that video. I want to give each boat a chance. I want to hunt out of them, use them, and see what I think, so I can tell you guys what I think. Comparing these boats side by side, like, they're very comparable in price. They're very kind of comparable in size, and there's just some minute differences, but the shape and the usability is going to be what really differentiates these boats. But overall, Refuge Runner, it's got some great finishes. It's super sturdy, and it's just an all-around great boat. Here's the Fatboy DP from MoMarsh. It is 13 feet long and like 40 something inches wide. I'll leave all of the info on the screen for you guys. Cora can fit back there. Same thing with the Four Rivers. The dog box, pretty handy if you have a dog. So let's go ahead and go over this cover real quick. The doors themselves are very similar between both of these boats. You have your dog door and you got your layout doors. The hinges on this, actually let's backtrack a little bit. When I got this boat, I don't know if you guys have kept up with the series. If you haven't, go back and watch the whole boat build series where I did this boat and the other boat. But out of the box, this thing was much more complicated to put together. I had to piece together every single part that went on this, and there were no instructions that came with it. So if you guys did buy one of these and you're looking for how to put one together, check out that video. So it took me about half a day to get this whole boat just set up like this, which was kind of a pain. But the cover itself, it's really high quality. Like the fabric itself, it feels, I think it's like a 600 denier fabric, and the stubble straps themselves, if we look at them, they're much different than what you normally see on a layout blind or anything else. Like the Four Rivers boat was very similar to what you see on a layout blind. This boat in particular though, it's got very wide stubble straps, and so the thickness is about 1 inch, and they're very wide, maybe 5-6 inches wide. So you're able to, I put 2 bundles of raffia into each strap. On the front here, you have 1 strap row right here that covers that side, and then you have 1 right here that covers the front, and then 1 back here. So a lot less straps altogether with this boat. Along the side, you just have 1 strap that goes along the whole edge. And this is the part that really kind of ticked me off, is like, I can't brush this in because there's no straps at the top. So I don't know what I'm going to do with that. It's just kind of how the boat's designed. And then each door has 2 rows of straps. Same thing with the dog door. It's got 2 rows of straps as well. And then on the back, you just have 1 strap. So when it comes down to the quantity of straps, this boat's got a lot less, but it seems to cover it just fine. I wish that I was able to cover that side right there, and also the top side of the dog door. But other than that, this boat seems to brush in pretty good. So just like the Four Rivers boat, this boat does have a bungee that holds it down. And when I'm running on both of these boats, I actually roll this back so then I can have all my lights exposed and then registration numbers and such. One thing that I did end up doing is I replaced the pins that go in the doors. So these are actually from a Rogers blind. I replaced the pins because they sucked. There's just no other way to put it. Like the pins that came with this blind, they were too small. They weren't attached to anything, and they would just fall out. I found my own pins and used those. But that's just kind of a little minute detail, little complaint out of the box with this thing. But other than that, all the other hardware is in good shape. One other thing is the way that the doors are attached to the deck cover. It's actually with a strap. So really no big deal. I don't know if I like this system as much as the other one. I feel like the Four Rivers system is a little bit better. Not knocking this at all. It works just fine. I've noticed, like, if I want to crank these tight, the edges of the deck cover come up. So it takes a little bit of tweaking to get it to the right place. One other thing about the cover is that the inside is actually attached with these snaps. So that was another piece that I had to install. I actually have some holes in it from where I thought they went, but they didn't go. So it seems to work. Right here, I've got, I think they call this the layout lounge. Very similar to the Four Rivers. seat. It feels a little bit firmer than the Four Rivers, and the headrest is not adjustable. This one just comes with a handle, a couple D-rings, and then MOLLE straps across the back. So very similar design, works good, does the job. So when looking at the shape of the hull on this boat, it's different than the Four Rivers. It's more, I would say, like egg shaped. It comes up over the top more. The front end and the back end kind of swoop up a little further, and the cockpit, it gets narrower towards the front. So you can see the back gets wide, and then towards the front it gets a little bit narrower. So this is the bottom of the boat. It doesn't have a slick finish like the Four Rivers did, and it doesn't seem like it has a really thick gel coat. And I say that because I can see through it. Just in the time that I've used this throughout the summer and then hunting and teal season, I've noticed some wear and tear throughout here. So I actually touched that up with some spray paint just to kind of cover up some fiberglass. But there was actually a couple of places, like right here, where I can see the fiberglass through the gel coat. So when comparing like the whole material, the Four Rivers is much thicker than the MoMarsh. This is just, I think that's why it's so lightweight. It's got thinner fiberglass, and it doesn't seem like it's got a very thick gel coat on it. Doesn't mean it's a bad boat, it just means that you really have to be careful and watch the bottom and maybe do a few patches along the way. Now moving to the front, we have a handle right here, a little bit different. It is pretty easy to pick up and carry the boat that way. And then it's also got a D-ring clip down here you can attach a rope to, or use it to keep it tied down on a trailer. Now moving back, this is what it looks like. Front to back and back to front. It's got a really neat design to it. So I do think that this boat would be a little bit better suited for open water hunting, which I believe that's why they call it the DP, the dual purpose. So then you can use it in open water diver hunting, and you can use it in the marsh hunting puddle ducks. So I think the design of this boat is kind of like a good mix between both of them. So you're able to stay concealed while out diver hunting, but you can also have some stuff for the puddle duck. Cockpit, it seems like the front is narrower than the back. And for me, I'm using a motor on this boat. And so I like to put my decoys in the front. And I did notice when I was using it in teal season is that the cockpit fills up much quicker than in the Four Rivers just because of the shape. You can see how it kind of comes up and over the cockpit more. But what that gives you is more access to the sides down here. So you're actually able to store a lot more stuff up in the sides than in the Four Rivers boat. You can pile stuff up out here on the deck if you want to, but if I'm running at night, I want my lights visible. And as you move towards the back, it's got this crossbar, which is used to hold the back end of the door on. And I do like it because you can use it as a backrest for the seat, and it separates you from the dog. So I haven't hunted with the dog in this, and I have not hunted with the dog in that, but I think she would be less likely to want to crawl in my lap with that bar there. So we'll hope for that. And then moving on towards the back here is the transom. This is the removable transom, and it's actually an add-on. So you actually have to buy this. I think I paid like $100 for this transom. And it's neat because you can take it on and off. Flip it one way for an outboard or a trolling motor, flip it the other way for a mud motor. It's really solidly built. I do think that I need to kind of grind down these corners because my motor has been hitting it when I'm trying to swing it around. So I need to take care of that. But there's a good overlook of the Fatboy. This was the boat that I always wanted, the Fatboy. And then I bought it and started doing the project, and then Four Rivers saw what I was doing and said, hey, we want to see what you think of that boat. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'll give it a go. And it's just interesting seeing the two differences. These were the two boats that I was considering buying for this year. I just went with the MoMarsh because it was lighter weight. I knew I was going to be portaging. So I'm curious to see how much the weight makes a difference, how much easier these are to pull over dikes and such. Like, there's a lot of features of these boats that will really kind of show themselves while out in the field. So I'm excited for next spring doing the comparison between the two. But when it comes down to just the build quality, I think Four Rivers does take the cake. It just seems like a much more solidly built boat The fiberglass is thicker, the gel coat is a lot nicer. It's just got some nicer finishing features. The MoMarsh, it's still a quality boat. It's thinner fiberglass. It does feel a little bit ricketier on the water. I have driven both of these boats on the water. I will say that the Four Rivers does seem a lot sturdier, a little less tippy. I mean, they're really not that tippy, but you can feel it kind of wobble in the water. I think the Four Rivers doesn't wobble quite as much. But they're both solid boats. Like, I'm not trying to knock either one of them. I just want to show you guys the features of them. Oh, also, forgot about this. MoMarsh does have a drain plug as well. It's the kind that I use on my John boat where you just stick it in and twist it and it expands. So that's nice. It's kind of universal. I'll keep one of those in the truck. And then if I forget it for this one, I have it. If I forget it for the big boat, I have it. So always a good idea to just keep a spare plug in your truck. I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything else on the MoMarsh. I'll give you guys a top-down look. So this boat is a little bit different. You're high in the middle and low on the sides. So when you've got water, it's going to pool up kind of right beneath that bar on the sides of the boat. And then it does have flotation foam in the back and in the front. But overall, that's your cockpit. It's just a little bit smaller than the Four Rivers, which, you know, if you pack light, you don't have a dog, probably not a big deal. But if you like to bring a lot of stuff and you have a dog, that boat might be a little bit better for you. So there you go. That was kind of a quick rundown of the features of these boats. They're both great. I mean, I've enjoyed hunting out of both of them, and I'm just really excited to see what the season has in store. I'm gonna have Adam with me. He's gonna hunt out of one of them, or both of them. We'll flip-flop, I don't know. Adam's a bigger dude, so I might stick him in the Four Rivers boat to give him a little more room. I just, after using both of these boats for just a little bit, I do feel more comfortable on big water in the Refuge Runner versus the MoMarsh. If I only had this MoMarsh boat, I would like it. If I only had the Four Rivers boat, I would like it. But now I have the opportunity to compare like the two head-to-head leaders of layout boats, and I'm pretty excited about it. So if you guys want to see more, hit the subscribe button, drop me a thumbs up, and I'll catch you on the next one.